What is up, guys? Calendar99 here, bringing you another movie review. It's October here, finally, which means you and your family are probably getting ready for Halloween. So why don't we do a movie review of, you guessed it, Halloween by John Carpenter. So today I'm gonna start my Halloween marathon review. So Halloween was directed by John Carpenter, and it was released in 1978. And it is more entitled of the night he came home. The story of Halloween follows the character of the main antagonist, Michael Myers, also known as The Shape. The film starts off with the almost sort of intro or a little bit of a backstory to him. It starts off on Halloween night of 1963, when Michael Myers was 6 years old, and he murders his 17-year-old sister Judith Myers, and then he is sentenced to Smith's Grove Sanitarium he was locked away for 15 years, and then 15 years later he escapes the sanitarium on Halloween of 1978 to return home to Haddonfield to stalk his younger sister, Laurie Strode. And Laurie Strode is a teenage girl a teenage high schooler and the reason Michael is after her is because she does not know this, and we don't find it out until Halloween 2, but she is the long lost sister of Michael. And since he murdered he murdered Judith 15 years ago, and he intended to repeat that act 15 years later by killing Laurie. He just wants to kill his family members, and this is completely different from the remake of Halloween. I'm not even going to go into that film because we're talking about this one, not that one. And the main person who is mostly after The Shape is his doctor, Dr. Samuel Loomis, played by Donald Pleasence, who is trying to find Michael and stop him from killing people. He is always describing Michael's motivations, saying what is behind his eyes is purely and simply evil, which that was a famous quote. Trying to help him capture Michael is the sheriff of the town, Sheriff Brackett, and his daughter Annie is one of Laurie's friends, and and by the way, if you guys, how Michael escapes the sanitarium, he apparently hijacks a car, and apparently they just say because he drives very good, and apparently he just obviously somehow knows how to drive, apparently doing nothing in the sanitarium for 15 years, doing nothing but staring at a wall. And he was like the most, and remember, The Shape has no lines at all. He's just a guy with a blue jumpsuit, a mask, which, believe it or not, for those of you who didn't know, the mask is a William Shatner Star Trek Captain Kirk mask that was spray painted white, and the hair was teased out, and the eye holes were cut out a little more so they weren't like this, they were rounder. And I thought that just made a great mask, because in the script it was supposed to be described as just like a blank face. And I just thought that was so good, a really cool thing. And so there is no talking from Michael whatsoever. He's just a regular person who does nothing. And the characters of the girls in this movie are, like I said, Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and her two friends, Annie Brackett and Linda, which Laurie and Annie, on that night of Halloween, are babysitting across the street from each other, but Annie leaves the kid she's babysitting with Laurie so that she can go out and have a good time with her boyfriend. Sort of like how Judith Myers was supposed to be watching her 6-year-old brother, but instead got involved with a boy and ended up getting murdered by the child she should have been watching. Laurie was different though. She watched the kid she was told to watch. Laurie may have smoked marijuana in the film, but it didn't keep her job from caretaking. Laurie is a good friend and a good person who knows how to do everything right. She just not get in trouble. She's smart. And then later, after Annie drops the kid off with Laurie, she ends up getting murdered by Michael in the car. She gets strangled to death. And then after that, Linda and her boyfriend show up to the house that she was babysitting in, only to find that she's not there, and end up having sex in the house, in the bedroom. And then her boyfriend goes downstairs to get a beer, and he hears somebody in the closet hiding, like it's Linda trying to play a prank on him, but it ends up being Michael coming out and just strangling the guy to death, and actually lifting him up off the ground with his one hand on his neck, and then he, boom, stabs the kid against there. And probably one of the things that make Michael's character really scary is that when he stabs the kid, he steps back and he looks at him like this, like he's looking at a butterfly collection. I just think that's cool. And when he's attacking people, or he's killing somebody, or when he's trying to like roughly get into something, you'll hear this really weird breathe from him, and it sounds like it's pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of Darth Vader. There is only one at the beginning of the movie. It shows it shows the camera from the perspective, Michael's perspective, of him walking and putting the mask on over the camera, which was an amazing sequence at the beginning of the film. But then after he stabs the kid, he goes upstairs to where Linda is, taking the boyfriend's glasses and a white sheet, pretending like he's a ghost, pretending like he's trying to be the boyfriend, and Linda thinks it's actually him playing a prank on her, but it's really Michael hiding under the sheet because he's not saying anything. And then she gets up to get on the phone and call Laurie, but Michael ends up coming behind her and strangling her with the telephone cord, which I don't understand how that's even possible, because the telephone cord is really thin, and I don't know, I could be wrong though. John Carpenter does not really give Michael motivations for his killings. He's more just a murderous person. He's more of a psychological person more than a man, but something. That's as what Dr. Loomis says. The score for Halloween was each sound that you hear, each soundtrack that you hear is all done by John Carpenter. It was just amazing. Even the theme for Halloween, the da 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 da, is all done on a piano. It's just really amazing. I thought that was a really neat theme for the film, and I find it quite catchy. Neat, sorry to say. And the entire and the only one thing about character, the only one time she abandons her post is when she goes across the street to check up on her friends, but they're all dead, and she ends up finding an empty house, nobody there, but she goes up to the upstairs bedroom to find the corpse of Annie laying on the bed, and above her is the gravestone of Judith Myers, which I thought was so weird. Why Michael would steal his own sister's tombstone just to put it in front of one of his dead victims beats me. It's just weird, but she ends up finding the corpses of her friends, and then he finds, or the Shape ends up finding her, and the whole chase begins between him and her. She ends up going screaming down the street and going to knock on a few doors, but those people just don't want to get involved because, I don't know, they just don't want to get involved in any trouble on Halloween. And a lot of weird crap happens on Halloween. But every time she tries to attack Michael, he comes back. And at the end, Dr. Loomis finally shows up to save Laurie by shooting him 6 times off of a balcony. And when he goes out to look down over the balcony, and the Shape's not there. And that led to the end of the film, and that was the reason people thought that the movie was set up for a sequel. And that's how we got Halloween 2. But, yes, I'm not gonna do a review of the whole film, but because really you guys should really go see this movie for yourself. But yeah, pretty much all of Michael's victims that he murders, the only ones that are seen dying are teenagers. The corpse of a mechanic in which Michael stole the jumpsuit from was a mechanic that he murdered in a field, which Dr. Loomis sees. His death isn't shown on camera, but his just corpse is seen. The person helping Loomis, like I said, is Sheriff Brackett, and he just does not believe that there is a murderous killer on the loose in his town. I mean, Loomis tells him the entire story of what he saw with Michael, how he stares at a wall and doing nothing, but he just doesn't believe Michael, or he doesn't believe Loomis. Excuse me. And he sort of blames Loomis because he sort of thinks Loomis let Michael out, but no, Michael is just got out because people just did not do their job of watching the mental patients and all that. So that's where we are. Okay, so that's my review of Halloween. That's all I'm gonna do. But like I said, I'm not doing an entire review of the whole movie because, like I said, you should really go check it out for yourselves. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for today. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. If you have any questions or you want to say anything, post it down in the comments. Give it a thumbs up. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate that. And thanks for watching my movie reviews.